Well, is Harry's Cafe Wheel off the road now?
I doubt it. No, well, I just got to see my superior, my boss, but it couldn't die like that, could it? Hardly.
How long's it been here?
I'd say, to my knowledge, about 23, 24 years.
How long have you been working here?
About 8 or 9 years.
It's pretty much a landmark. What sort of people have come here in the past?
Goodies and baddies and tops. That's a good people down here. Marlon Dietrich, Lisa Manelli, Howard Craven. Tops. Footballers of all sorts. John Thornett, the lot. Yeah, my word.
You're supposed to be working here tonight. What are you going to do now? Are you out of a job, do you think?
I think I'll go straight to the unemployment bureau.
I owned Harry's Cafe the Wheel for 14 years. And my biggest worry was, for being a foreigner, and I was down in the naval headquarters, which all the boys are Australian, I thought I might be rejected. But they welcomed me and they looked after me, and this is how I survived so long there, because they all like me. Well, knowing Harry, I found him, he was a good-hearted person. You know, anything I wanted of him I could have, no problem. Each week when I pay my rent, I used to visit him. We sit in his back shed. That's how do you know all those stories that I'm telling you now. He told me those stories, you know. And like he says to me, when I was 12-year-old, I was an orphan. I said, how did you survive? He said, I used to go snowdropping. And I said to my wife, what do you mean by snowdropping? And she said, don't you know? I said, no. He said he was taking clothes off the line and going to the pub and plug it.
From my memories of Harry's when he was serving behind the counter down there, he was a fairly quiet sort of a guy who kept himself busy, which is completely different to Alex. Alex used to really get out and get stuck into the crowd or talk to the crowd. And sort of he was more of a Harry, I guess, you know, whereas Harry was a quiet sort of a bloke, but a popular bloke.
So after as he was growing, he used to do all odd jobs, whatever he could find. And he finished up going to a place somewhere in New South Wales to dig in for tin. And that's where he met his wife and he got married. And then he joined the army after that. And I said to Harry, where did you join the army? He said, I had to feed my family.
When he came back, he found that another guy had moved into his spot down in Woolloomooloo, a Frenchman selling crepes, and so he'd move in at night, sell his crepes, then pack up and move out to come back the next night. And the reason he did that was because the law in the day was that you had to move a mobile food van 12 inches every day. So he used to pack it up and take it home. So when Harry came back, he'd originally called Cafe de Wheels Snappy Snacks. So when he moved back into that position, he put wheels on it and literally moved it 12 inches every day, and it became Harry's Cafe de Wheels.
So he bought himself this old caravan, old T model Ford, and he used to live at Bondi. He used to cook his tea and coffee at home. He had all kerosene heaters. He used to take him out to a football field, and he was selling soup, tea, coffee, and pies. And anyway, eventually, he discovered down at Garden Island, Woolloomooloo Wharf number 2, there was a Frenchman operating there. And Frenchman moved there. Don't ask me why, because we don't know. Harry moved in. So anyway, he got pushed out again. He went end of number 2 wharf, and there he was doing no good. So one night he decided he's going to tow himself back, and he found all bits of wood, timber, whatever he could find. He took the 4 wheels off. He propped the van up, and he smashed the stud. And next morning when the inspector came, he said, come on, Harry, we'll move it. And Harry said, I don't know, mate, have a look at that. He used words we're not supposed to use. And the inspector scratched his head and walked off, and that's how Harry happened to stay there. Actually, people used to think that Harry's Cafe de Wheel is a bad place to come overnight. But when I first took over, the general public wouldn't come near the place. And eventually, the rider I was getting, Harry's back at the cafe, Harry this and Harry this, and people read the paper and start to come down. Eventually, I was getting all the celebrities from all over the world coming down to Harry's. And then Americans advertising Harry's on wheel or Harry's on a merry-go-round or something, and I arrived dressed up in tiaras and you name it. When I arrived, they screamed their head off. They thought they were in a famous restaurant, but I said it is famous for pie.
Yeah, it was quite different back then. Woolloomooloo was derelict. There were no trendy pubs or apartments. You could fire a gun through it and not hit anyone. That was in the late 70s before all the redevelopment started. We used to spend the night up the cross and then we'd roll down to Harry's at about 3 or so and just hang around and have a chat, you know. Harry's wasn't so well known in those days. Anyhow, I was down there like usual one night and this Rolls pulls up. So we all turn around for a squiz. The chauffeur gets out, you know, all dressed up in his uniform, and he walks over to the counter. He goes up to Harry and says, 2 pies, please. And Harry spins and says, who's that in the car? The chauffeur said, Ginger Rogers. Well, you tell her to come and get her own pie. So the chauffeur goes back to the car and the window comes down a bit and we still can't see who it is, but sure enough, out she gets. Now we're having a good old squiz and walks over to the van and orders herself a pie. We're sitting on the other end of the van with our mouths open and sauce on our faces and Harry's chatting like they're old mates. Yeah, she was there for a while, mixing in with the rest of us. I thought it was pretty glamorous. So that was the night I saw Ginger Rogers eat a tiger.
You know, when you're stuck in that caravan yourself, all that pies and peas, you can't recognize everybody. But like Olivia Newton-John, now she was a good person. I love Olivia. And I was a bit rude because third night when she came down, she put her hand on the elbow like the sailor do. What you got left, Harry? I said, you gorgeous, I got a pie left. You interested? Yes. And anyway, I start to be a bit, I don't know, like I'm a comedian myself, and I ask a few questions. She said, you're not wasting your... Oh no, first she said, where are you from, Harry? I said, well, I've got a beautiful apartment. And I said, it's got something that you've never seen in your life. You interested? She said to me, you're not wasting much time. Well, I said, gorgeous chick like you, why should I?
Well, I was very excited because coming from a poor family with no dad, well, he was busy with the war, wasn't he? You know, I got excited, you know. I was going to this big Harry de Wheeler's, you know, and I was going to get taken out, you know, and you know, and this boy, you know, that I seen with his black curly hair, I was really in love with him and I was ready for this. But to me, that was a beautiful thing to sit there, and it was, and they were pies. They were pies. They're not pie, you know, pie eaters. Oh, wait there, I'll rephrase that. I've heard people say about pie eaters. I've got a friend who says, oh, Australians are pie eaters. Well, if they bring back the original Harry de Wheeler pies, I want to be called a pie eater. Because wow, were they good. They wouldn't all pulled up at once. It wasn't a business that you could, like they pull up now. It wasn't there. You get a couple and then you might get a sort of girls and boys that belonged to motorbike. It was very popular for motorbike people, very popular for the motorbike boys and girls that wanted somewhere to go where they could share something together, you know, like that. And I wouldn't say it was always crowded. I don't think he made a fortune at that time, but I believe that he made enough, just enough. The biggest thing that the people liked was the peas on the pies, and he done them. Nobody could do the peas like Harry. They were squashy and they were good.
When Harry first started it, he was only serving pie and tomato sauce, and because people heard about pies and peas because it's an English tradition. They're not Australian pies and peas. And anyway, a ship just come back from England, and a young Australian sailor goes to Harry, said to Harry, why don't you put peas on your pie? And Harry said, look, I've been cooking them. They fall off the pies and they punch a hole on my floor. I can't cook them. And this young sailor said, Harry, you're a gambler. Get a bigger piece and I'll cook them for you. And this young bloke was there for 6-7 weeks. And he cooked the piece. And even after that, when I knew Harry was still looking for him, I don't know where he disappeared to, but how actually the piece started it. It's not Australian, it's English.
I met Harry when I was a young bloke when he used to work down at Harry's. But he was an old soldier, he was a boxer, and by all accounts quite a popular bloke who raised a couple of handicapped kids and sort of devoted his life to them and Cafe de Wheels. And I think Harry retired from the business in about 1968, and he had a manager there for a long time, Jack Keith, working there for a long time. But he used to make, he used to do 1 or 2 shifts a week, and but he dropped out about then, and I think from memory he died in about 79. Well, he was an army boxer. And so they nicknamed him Tiger in there and in the army. I haven't got any photos of Harry in the ring or anything, but he was, by the time, in the Middle East, I've got a good photograph of Harry when he was running the book. He was the bookie as well as the boxer. So I guess they didn't have to worry too much if he didn't pay him. But, yeah, in remembrance of that, I guess I've called the pie pea mash and gravy the Tiger, which wasn't on the menu in Harry's day. They didn't have mashed potato or gravy. So when I introduced it, when I bought it, I named it after him. I mean, I'd always had this association. My father drove cabs, and he'd taken me down to Harry's, when I was a kid to get a pie, and I went to Vietnam in the Australian Army, and when I came back on the HMAS Sydney. We berthed right out the front of Harry's, and that night I had a pie at Harry's, the night I came back. And so I developed a relationship with the place like everybody else in Sydney, I suppose. You sort of relied on it, liked the people, kept going back there, and I went back there for years and years. Anyway, just in the course of one night I was down there, and Alex was working, and we always used to have a joke, I'd say, make sure you don't sell it to anybody else, rah, rah, rah. And anyway, one night, as a surprise, about in early 87, I wandered in and ordered a pie and said, I'll have the pie in the business. And he said, okay, you got a deal, come to my place tomorrow. And that's how it started. I realised, 15 years ago or 20 years ago that everything was fading, and there wasn't really anywhere for young people particularly to come and have a look and see what street life was in those days. So yeah, I think it's great. I think if you can go have a meal and fill all your senses, then you haven't had a bad time.